Brent, back with another contemplative cardboard edition of Near Mint Musings. How's everybody doing? I am currently in a hotel room, which seems to be the trend when I do these contemplative videos with the camera facing this. Sorry about that. I'm in a hotel room in Portland, Oregon, by the airport, not in the dumpster fire that is downtown Portland, thankfully. So I'm not going to have to fight mob rioters, looters, whatever you want to call them, to get here. I am circumventing that area purposefully in my job today and tomorrow, thankfully. So, but here I am in a hotel room and thought I would do another thought-provoking. I don't want to call it that because that just makes it too grandiose. It's just me talking. I'm actually watching the Astros and Rays, top of the ninth. Ooh, Tampa Bay just scored. It is now 4-3. Just when you think it's over, 2 outs, top of the ninth, there is still life to be had in Tampa Bay. So I'm going to be a little as I'm talking to you. So anyways, what this video is not going to be is a retail rant, even though I will talk about briefly the state of retail. I just don't know if YouTube can handle another retail rant based off a response to another retail rant in response to another retail rant, because that would probably reach rant inception. So what this will be is just kind of my thoughts. And again, let me give the caveats, the disclaimer right ahead that these are strictly just how I view the hobby right now and how it is affecting how I collect. There is by no means any semblance of who I think is right or wrong, because I really don't. And part of this conversation is I don't care who's right or wrong. So let's get the retail part out of the way. I don't really go to Targets and Walmarts to buy retail because I'm not really a retail looking person. So I've never encountered the dudes that camp out on a certain day at a certain time to get the product before it even hits the shelf, hounding the worker who fills the shelf. I haven't seen that firsthand. I know it exists. I've seen plenty of videos and firsthand descriptions of it happening. It's really unfortunate. It sucks. But I say that in the sense of it sucks for a 48-year-old dad who, if I had a younger kid who wanted to collect and just couldn't get retail. It sucks if you want to rip some packs without paying astronomical prices to get them. But you know what? It is what it is. Optically, the guys that camp out, it looks a little sus. That's what the kids call it. It's not suspect, it's sus. That whole pecked part of the word suspect, just throw it out the window. It is what it is. It looks dumb, but you know what? So what I think though is like when I see, not when I see, but when I hear or I see pictures of these guys camping out, waiting for retail, it just seems, optically speaking, not saying this is the case with them, it just looks like there's devoid of any joy, hobby joy, collecting joy. It just seems they're there just to get the product to turn around and sell it. Now, if they use that money to buy cards for the collection, cool. I mean, I get it. I know a lot of them don't. A lot of them don't even collect. They just hear that this is the hottest thing in town, so I'm going to buy some to sell it, to make some money, to go buy something else. Hey, you know what? It's what capitalism is. Optically, it looks douchey at times, but as a collector, it just looks devoid of joy. It's like when I see cards being bought, I want to envision them going home, opening them up, hoping they get their player, hoping they get their team. Maybe they get a parallel or a numbered card that they're looking for, hoping for. Maybe they're ripping with their kids. I don't know. That's what you want to assume, but it probably isn't happening. But maybe they're selling it for people who then are able to do that. It's not like these cards just magically appear on, the Rays is lost. I was hoping they'd sweep. Anyways, lost my train of thought. That's okay. It is just devoid of joy. That's the way it looks. I'm gonna leave it at that. So, speaking of retail though, the next chapter. So, it's interesting. I've been wanting to kind of have this conversation with my 10 viewers that I probably have for my channel for a couple weeks now. And it's been interesting since I've been wanting to have a conversation, how many videos or podcasts have come out since then that really are mirroring what I want to say. The first one I'm going to mention is actually the most recent one, and that was driving out to Portland today. I listened to the brothers from the City of Brotherly Love, Mike O and Westergriff, on Mike O's Hobby Talk channel podcast thing. And there was just a lot of topics they talked about. There was some ranting about retail, and I get it, and about grading, and about just collecting as a whole and how it's changed a lot. And I agreed with a lot of it, and I really respect Mike and Ed and appreciate their candor and what they had to say on their podcast. What I'm going to do though, and they kind of touched on this, and I want to talk about it more. 2020, dumpster fire, whatever you want to call it. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to be Pollyanna. I'm not going to try to be grumpy, curmudgeon, get off my lawn guy, but I'm also not going to be Pollyanna and bury my head in the sand. What do I mean by that? I mean, I'm not going to get political, but in 2020, it's kind of impossible not to. And there's a lot of negativity in our country right now. A lot of pent up aggression, a lot of anxiety, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear, anger, disillusionment. I have a lot of synonyms, but I'm not going to tell them all. And I think it's, again, naive to think that that's not affecting the hobby. Now, in the bigger picture of things, there are obviously a lot more important things in life than the hobby, but this is a hobby channel, so hobby talk it is. That being said, I think that a lot of people are just grumpy, and things that maybe wouldn't bother them or trigger them as easy are triggering them. And I think you're seeing that with just the disillusionment and wishing that retail was something different. And I get it, and I'm that way too. I mean, I, as a collector, really tend to lean on the vintage side. I do collect modern, but part of the talk I want to have tonight is I'm really going to put the brakes on my vintage collecting. And not vintage collecting, I'm sorry, my modern collecting. And one of the things that Mike and Ed talked on their podcast was that this hobby should be fun, and it shouldn't create anxiety or stress. And that's kind of what it does for me. And I had to take a step back and really look at, especially modern, it stresses me out. and on a number of scale. And again, the disclaimer is this is just me. Some of you may think, dude, why is that stressful? That's my favorite part of the hobby. You know what? More power to you. This is not a judgmental channel nor a condemning video. This is just my heart and where my head's at right now with the hobby. I am finding myself stressed out by trying to collect modern, by trying to complete rainbows, by trying to navigate this overwhelmingly complicated current 2020 card market. There are so many versions, so many parallels, so many products, and it's just, they're great cards, don't get me wrong. There's something for everybody. Price point, style point, aesthetic, but it's just too much. It's just too much. I yearn for simplicity right now. In 2020, and all of the noise and everything that's going on around me, I need simplicity. I need something that is constant, that is steady, that makes sense to me. And right now, that's not modern cards. That's not retail. So, taking a step back, I'm Homer backing back up into the bushes and really going to just focus on vintage. Now, I am primarily a Killebrew collector and Washington Senators. A video coming soon that's going to highlight those very things, so stay tuned for that, hopefully in the next week or so. It's been a long process in the making, but that video is coming soon, so a little teaser for you. And I'm going to focus on that. And one thing that I've really been enjoying lately is collecting prominent Hispanic players in baseball in the past. Obviously, Roberto Clemente. I collect Rod Carew. Marrying into a Puerto Rican and Panamanian family, I've seen how important, not just from a historic point of view and the grand scheme of things that baseball is for a lot of Hispanic communities, but seeing it firsthand. My wife's uncle is named after Roberto Clemente. That's cool, right? A lot of my wife's family grew up just idolizing and adoring Rod Carew and some other Hispanic players. So I've been collecting some of their stuff, this old vintage stuff, and it's been fun looking for things not graded, just kind of decent looking raw vintage. And it's been a lot of fun. So I'm going to continue to do that. I'm tapping back into my 80s. That is the joy. That is me as a 48-year-old man, starting collecting in 1983. I'm going back and getting some key rookies that I didn't have, or I do have, but they're beat up, and just getting better conditions. Again, not really going for graded, but maybe going for some better looking raw 80s cards, maybe some on-card autos, looking for some key Hall of Famers from the 70s and 80s, stuff like that, and having a blast. But vintage makes more sense to me. It's not as complicated. It's steady. I mean, current modern players, let's take for instance, and this is going to be very, I'm going to admit to a little kind of overreacting. Kyle Lewis, Seattle Mariners, most likely will be the American League Rookie of the Year. I was all in, even before he started this season. After he finished last season, I knew he was going to be something big. I had a hunch. I made a video on him a couple months ago, and he panned out this year, and I went all in on him and got a lot of his cards, and they just took off. And then he kind of not fizzled, but just kind of, he peaked, and then he kind of went down this way. And he finished the year still probably as the top rookie, but didn't finish that strong. And his cards, tapered off, stabilized, I guess. They might peak a little if he's named Rookie of the Year. But I've sold off a bunch of his cards that I got, not at a loss. I've made some good money off of his cards. I've kept some of the ones that I have that I really like, that I enjoy, that look great. And that's the thing. It's like, I'm not here to collect rainbows. I'm just collecting cards that look cool to me. I don't care if there's a serial number on it. I don't care if it's a sepia, refractor. I don't care what it is. It just, if it looks cool to me, I'm going to keep it. And really, I kept all my on-card autos. I sold all of my sticker autos because I just don't want the sticker autos. And that's a whole nother conversation where I probably will sound like a 40-year-old curmudgeon telling you to get off my lawn. But that's another video. So I sold a bunch of those. In football, I'm kind of just getting out of football. I like Gardner Minshew. He's a local guy, Washington State Cougar. And I have a bunch of his cards. I've kept all the ones that I really like because there were some gorgeous looking modern football cards, but I sold a lot of them. Again, some of the sticker autos, some of the parallels that just didn't move me. And I'm using those funds to buy some vintage. Some vintage that mean a lot and have seen a lot and can tell stories and are historic. And that's the stuff that moves me right now. It's not complicated. It's beautiful in its simplicity, and it just takes away the stress and anxiety that modern was causing me to have. Again, that's just me. So one example I'm going to give specifically, and I want to give a shout out to a couple other people, and I have before on my channel, but they're good friends of mine. That's Matt with Essential Credentials and Ryan with Cards and Recreation. Check them both out. They're good friends of mine. We're all fellow Seattle Mariners fans. So one thing that I told them that I didn't tell them the card I got, but I showed them the card that I sold and kind of surprised them. And I get it. If I would have seen this video 3 or 4 months ago, it would surprise me too. I'm an Edgar Martinez collector as well. He's my favorite Mariner, and I have quite a few of his cards, and I actually have a couple shelves in my office at home where I have some of my favorite cards of his. I have one shelf that has like his cool 90s parallels, refractors, and rare cards, a lot of shine. And then I have a shelf of all of his on-card autos, with the exception of one card that was on that shelf. And I say was because I sold it. And I'm sitting in my office on my desk, and I'm just looking at my cards one day. And I really just started thinking, okay, which one of those cards, are there any cards up there that don't move me? Like, if I had to sell one, what would it be? And there was one that I kept coming back to. And it was a, well, here it is right here. I don't have it anymore, but I did take a picture of it. Boom. That was a 1-of-1 white whale printing plate auto. And it came up on sale on Twitter a few months ago. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have a card like that. I gotta get it. It's a 1-of-1. And I got it. Made an offer. He took it. And it was sitting with all my other autos on my shelf of Edgar Martinez. And I started looking at it. I'm like, first off, aesthetically, again, just me, I think printing plate type cards are dumb. I'm sorry. They don't do anything for me. They're really just a overpriced completionist gimmick. Sorry, I'm just gonna say it. I know they kind of, with the on-card, not the on-card auto, it was a sticker auto. But the relic, sometimes it's 2 or 3 colors and it spells out a cool word or whatever. 1-of-1 white whale. All the other autos around it were on card, just gorgeous, and that one was just So I'm like, okay, I'll think about it. Well, the next day, Facebook, somebody posted on the vintage page that I follow, a card that I never thought I would own. And I saw it and it just spoke to me, and I'm like, I want that card. And then I thought, well, how am I going to get it? Because I don't have the money for it. I can sell that Edgar Martinez. And everything just kind of clicked in that moment. And I'm like, well, crap. So I messaged the guy that's selling the card on Facebook. I go, hey, would you take this? And he goes, how about I meet you in the middle? I'm like, okay, let me think on it. So let me think on it meant get on Facebook real quick. Facebook, on eBay. I put that white whale Edgar Martinez up for sale. Kid you not, it sold in 7 minutes. Not a best offer, it sold in 7 minutes. And it sold for $5 less than what I needed to buy this card on Facebook. So you can use the cliche, it was meant to be. Well, this was meant to be. So I messaged the guy back on Facebook. Hey, is it available? He goes, yeah. I go, okay, I want it. So I got it. This is the card. So think of it. Remember, this is that Edgar Martinez. Okay, modern card. This is the card that I got. That's right, 1953, Jackie Robinson, the number one card of the set. We all know these old cards, the number one cards, are hard to get graded because they were rubber banded because they were the top card. That's how people collected back then. This is a good, so it's a 2. You can tell right here, especially on the black. It's going to be a little chippy, but it's centered, right? It's just, this is an iconic card. This is one of my favorite cards ever made in the history of cards. This is the Jackie Robinson that I want. I love this card more than his other cards, even his rookie and his older cards. What would I want those cards? Duh, yeah. But just looking at it aesthetically, this is the card. That bridge in the back, are you kidding me? And I just love the 53 tops. I got this card for that Edgar Martinez white whale. I would do that all day, every day. So I've been doing more of that. And that's going to be in another couple of videos. You're going to see some other cards that I've recently acquired that are going to be the direct result of selling some modern that just didn't move me. With the crazy fluctuating prices with modern, if a guy has a good week or even a good couple of days, his card can double in price right now, for rookies especially with modern. And then if he has a bad week, they go back down. I don't want that mess. I want this consistent. I want this historic. I want this meaningful. Now, that doesn't mean that modern isn't meaningful. I still collect Nelson Cruz, and I'm getting his modern stuff. He doesn't fluctuate that much because he's a 40-year-old guy that's defying the odds of age and doing his thing. But I still collect modern. And you know what? I look for modern cards of players like this. There's some cool refractors of older players like Jackie and Roberto and Rod Carew and Harmon Killebrew that I collect. So I get my fill of modern, but I get of the older players. It's kind of fun. I don't need to worry about the fluctuation of prices and whether they're going to blow out a hammy and end their season. These guys have lived lives, amazing baseball lives, amazing lives on and off the field, stories to tell, books have been written, legacies have been created, and maybe no more greater legacy in baseball than this guy right here. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. That's where my head and my heart is. And I know this has been kind of a rambly, not really a rant. I'll pat myself on the back. I haven't really ranted, but I've spoken my mind. And that's where my head and my heart's at right now. So I'd be interested to hear and see what you guys think. I know some of you won't agree with me, and that's fine. But here's the thing. One of the hardest things in life right now, and just the thing that really breaks my heart, is the inability for people to have a level-headed conversation. It's like if your opinion doesn't match mine, then somebody's wrong. No, opinion doesn't equal truth. I want to listen to you, and I want you to listen to me, and let's just talk about it. And that transcends the hobby, it transcends sports. That's just life. And I just yearn for the days where it's just not, what? You don't agree with me? Well, then you're wrong, and I'm not going to listen to you. You know what? Life's too short. So, good dialogue, good conversation, level-headed listening, true listening, not just hearing, but listening. That's what we need in this world right now. So, yeah, leave me some comments. Tell me what you think. Maybe I struck a chord with somebody. Maybe you can relate. Maybe you're completely on a different plane. I'd love to hear it all. So I appreciate you all. Thank you for listening to me if you've made it 25 minutes into this rant. And I hope you have a great day. Appreciate you. All right. Have a good night.